I have been in your shoes as a plaintiff, as one who has been the victim or suffered in a car accident, and also had to defend myself as someone that's caused a car accident. So I know what you're going through, and I know what the other side that caused your accident is going through, and I can walk you through that ordeal and have knowledge of both sides. Car accident lawyers, we work on what is called contingency basis. A lot of people think the first thing is, oh, I have to get a lawyer, it's gonna cost me a lot. With our work, you don't pay us up front anything. We cover all the cost up front, and we work on a contingency. So that means that we recover a contingent, where our recovery is contingent on what we get as an end result for you. If we don't recover anything, we don't get anything. If we recover, then we get a small percentage of what we recover for the client. A lot of people do think that hiring a personal injury lawyer is very expensive, just like they think of when they're hiring an attorney, right? But that's not the case. It's actually more expensive to not hire a personal injury lawyer and go at it on your own. And that's because about most of the time, on average, you'll recover 3 times as much if you hire a personal injury attorney versus trying to take on it by yourself. So our fees are across the board, that's 33%, which is 1/3 of the recovery, if we get a recovery for the client. Also, we pay for the cost up front. So there's costs associated if your case has to be filed or has to go to a litigation. We pay for those fees up front, and we don't recover those until the end. That's only if we get a recovery. So we've taken a lot of risk. That's why it is a contingency. It's from 33%. If we have to go to a litigation and we have to go through a possible trial, our fee then goes up to 40%, and we also get our costs back. But our clients don't pay anything out of pocket right away. They don't pay us an hourly fee right away. They pay a contingency, which is dependent on us making sure that they're made whole and get a recovery. We do a whole lot of things. From the moment that we engage with a potential client, we have to understand their story, understand what happened in the incident, and then also analyze whether there is a case of negligence against the at-fault party or the other person. Oftentimes, an accident happened, but it doesn't mean that someone's at fault, right? Sometimes it's just an accident. We look at it as it's a collision, right? Because an accident means that it's no one's fault. It's an accident, right? But when we look at it at an accident and we analyze it, we look at it as a collision. And so we have to analyze who's at fault, what happened, and is there a viable way for us to make the person that's not at fault, that got hurt, make them whole. Once we do that, then we have to get all the medical records for our clients, and we have to present the story of our client to the insurance company. This is what happened to our client, and this is why we feel that they deserve to be compensated for their injury or for their time out of work. And we have to make sure that we can calculate all of those into a certain dollar amount. Because when you're missing time from work, that's costing you money. When you have to go to the doctor, that's costing you money. Your car that's damaged, that costs you money. Your pain and suffering, that costs you money. And we have to calculate that for our client and present that to the insurance company. Ultimately, if the insurance company decides that they want to deny your claim, we have to then file a lawsuit on your behalf, which we will then litigate against the insurance company and the attorney that the insurance company hires. If need be, we'll take that all the way in front of a jury of your peers so they can decide who's at fault, potentially if that's an issue, and how much you should be compensated for your injuries, for your total damages. So that's what car accident lawyers do. The reason you need a car accident attorney is because the insurance company, they know that you don't know what you're doing on your own. So they'll throw out any number at you. And they know that you cannot file a lawsuit and represent yourself capably on your own. So it's either you take what they give you or you take nothing. With a car accident attorney, they have to be honest. And they have to come to the table and be reasonable and make sure that they give you every penny that your case is valued at. And I'm talking about somebody that specializes in car accidents, not somebody that just dabbles in car accident cases. Okay. So after a car accident, if you've been involved in a car accident, the first thing you should immediately do is make sure you get the car out of danger into a safe place or a safe area if you're able to. You don't want to just sit in your car in a dangerous area. So that's the first thing you want to do, is get it into a safe area. If you can, then you call the police. Make sure you call the police before you speak to the other driver or anything, till they come to the scene. When the police arrive on the scene, or before the police arrive to the scene, if you're also able to take pictures of exactly where the cars were when the collision happened, make sure that you document those on picture, even before you move the cars. And then document the damages to your vehicle on the scene, as to where your car was hurt, where it was impacted, where the damage was. And then you want to make sure that you get treatment. You want to go and see someone, get checked out. Oftentimes when you're involved in an accident, you're in shock. Your body is in a state of shock. You don't know what's hurt or if you're hurt. And you want to get checked out immediately in case you have internal bleeding, in case you have something that's broken or cracked and you don't know it, nerve damage, something. You want to get checked out. And then after that, make sure you contact an attorney that specializes in car accidents. If you've been injured in a car accident, you want to make sure you seek medical treatment immediately and get a hold of a car accident lawyer immediately as well. Somebody that you can trust, somebody that you believe in, that's going to represent you well, somebody that knows what you're going through, and make sure that they speak to your insurance company and the other person's insurance company right away. You don't want to handle this on your own, because the insurance company is not out there to help you. They're out there to help themselves. So there's different ways after you've been in a car accident about who pays for your medical bills. In Florida, it's required that you carry no-fault PIP insurance. That no-fault means that it doesn't matter who's at fault in a car accident, right? Whether it's Joe's fault or your fault, that benefit is for your medical bills. So that covers the first 10,000 of your medical bills, right? Ultimately, let's say you're very severely hurt, right? The other party then, if they have insurance and it's their fault, their insurance then will have to cover your medical bills. Ultimately, when you hire an attorney, a lot of times your medical bills will be accruing during the pendency of your case. These hospitals or doctors that you treat with know that you have a potential lawsuit or a case for an accident. So they're going to be ready and waiting for their payment, but you don't have to pay that up front. Those are usually handled on the back end, and that's with lawyers, making sure that those bills with your doctors are paid at the end of your treatment and when your case ultimately resolves. And so you should not seek an attorney or car accident lawyer because of fear of medical bills and cost. You deserve and you are going to get compensated as long as there's an insurance available or there's an avenue to get compensation from the at-fault party, or hopefully if you have what we call the insurance on your policy, that's like a fallback. We work with insurance policies, so sometimes I have to tell a potential client that I'm sorry, I can't help you. Sometimes because either the at-fault party has no insurance, and then unfortunately my client also didn't purchase the right coverages when they bought their policy, right? A lot of people don't know that they can cover themselves when they're driving. Even if the person that was at fault has no insurance coverage, they can still cover themselves if they buy a certain coverage called underinsurance or insurance. Uninsured motorist and underinsurance. So if you're driving and unfortunately someone hits you and they don't have insurance, you've done what you have to do to protect yourself and your family by buying that coverage called Often we'll look at a policy for not even a client, for anyone that wants to make sure they have the right coverage. I'll review that policy and tell them, well, this is what you're covered for, and if you want to make sure that you're covered for other things, you have to add certain coverages, right? Your policy, a lot of people are often mistaken and think they have quote unquote full coverage. I hear that a lot. I have full coverage on my car, when in fact it's only the coverage that's required under Florida law, which is the minimum. So you're not covered for a lot of things when it's a misconception of what full coverage is. Oftentimes an insurance agent will tell you, oh, you're covered under Florida, and you come out thinking, I have full coverage, which is a misconception unless you really know what that is. So full coverage means that no matter what happens and who's at fault, you're gonna be covered, right? So you have a coverage for liability, you have a coverage for property damage, you have a coverage for collision, comprehensive, and on your policy, uninsured or underinsured. So if the other person doesn't have insurance and you're in an accident, you're still going to be covered. And there's different amounts of insurance you can also purchase, right? You can purchase $20,000, $50,000, $100,000, $1 million in insurance. Oftentimes you have to make sure that what you purchase is going to take care of you and your family or your loved ones if you're in an accident, if you're in a collision. Taking into account, so many things. How much money do you earn at work, what your assets are, what's the value or worth of your work when you're out of work, and so many other different factors. And that's really why you have to make sure you're getting the right coverage, the right policy, and ultimately dealing with the right lawyer that knows what they're doing and knows how to handle car accidents if you've been involved in that situation.